have been in some of the coolest shows that have come out in the past few years. Vida, I Love Dick, The Deuce, which is so underrated. And now you have a little episode in Mrs. America, which is fantastic.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, that comes out in a week.
Yeah, it's so good.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, on top of being in Fun Home, so you're like, just this. You've become a queer icon in like no time.
Well, the time is a constant. No, I've been pretty fortunate, and I can't. I'm lucky to be alive right now, I guess, because I'm able to have this career and be queer and be celebrated for it, and I feel really fortunate. And yes, I love the projects that I've worked on. I feel tremendously lucky.
Yeah.
I had my friend Nessa the other day. We were just kind of quiet, she had just started watching Vida, and she was just like, man, you're so lucky. Like the stuff that you've worked on is all so good. And I feel like inside of myself, I constantly feel like very proud of my career and the projects that I've gotten to be a part of. And it was just like the first time that I really felt another person say that. And it meant the world to me. So thank you for saying that.
Yeah, my pleasure. I mean, thanks for doing all this great work. So I wrote a piece last year about the, I think it was your introductory episode with the queer identity policing at the wedding.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, just what a remarkable piece of work that was from Danya and the writers. And I wonder if you would talk a little bit about being a part of something that really does a deep dive into intersections of culture and, isn't afraid to shine a light on maybe some dark sides of, queer culture as well, where, we often judge each other.
I mean, I think that when you combine both, Latin identity, Latin American identity, and queer identity, you're going to get a lot of people that are just really out of date on what the new vocabulary is and what everything means. And I thought that scene was really brilliant when I read it in the script. I was just like, this is exactly the kind of conversations that are happening in real life, where people are, even queers are having really reductive, really kind of past tense conversations about where we are presently, and being so insular about our experiences that we forget that the queer banner itself is it's such a spectrum, it's such a wide spectrum. And so that scene was really, for me, I was just, sometimes as a queer, as a Latin person, I can only speak for myself, but I get impatient having to be pedestrian about explaining like where we came from and how far we've gotten and where we are now and stuff like that. And that scene was really just like, right, we do have to be sometimes pedestrian, and we do have to, we have to be able to call people out, and we have to be able to educate people. And Tanya's done a really great and really empathetic job of just reminding us that we're not all there yet. Even the queers aren't all there yet. Even the brown queers aren't all there yet on everything politically and socially. I love that scene.
Yeah.
I mean, I really love that scene so much. And the actors in it are amazing.
So good.
And Annie and Vico are, two of, people in the show that just have smaller roles, but they're both incredible.
Yeah, they do such a great job.
Mm-hmm.
One thing, another aspect of the show that I think is great is, we've had some pretty wonderful representation for LGBTQ people in recent years across different series, but this is a rare instance where non-binary and more masculine identities are given some visibility. And I wonder if you would talk about what that means to you to be a part of that.
So the first season, obviously I wasn't in, and I was just a purely an audience member. And I've worked on a lot of shows that kind of push the envelope as far as like where we are culturally and the kind of, and I'm always present in when I'm working on things, knowing like what dialogue this is going to open up and stuff. But just being an audience member of the first season and seeing the scene where it was Carmen Cabana, who's the DP, and she had that shot of Sed, who plays Eddie, in the bathtub. Mm-hmm. When she's mourning the death of Vida, and she's just like, in this bathtub. And I remember seeing that and being like, I truly don't think I've ever seen a Butch body like that on screen before. Mm-hmm. And to me, it was like, I wasn't thinking about like the political aspects of it or anything like that. It was just, for me, just beautiful, because we as a society tend to shrug away images of Butch bodies, and for Sed to be like brave enough to do that, I thought that was so cool, and I grew even more in love with Tanya and her work and her vision and what I see as her like artistic priorities from watching that, and even the sex scenes that Michelle is in as Emma, where she's sleeping with all sorts of different kinds of people, gender non-binary people and men and women, and it's never explained, and in fact she chooses to be like, I don't label myself. I thought that was really powerful.
Right.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
So kind of on that wavelength, I was actually on set the day of the Drag King.
Oh yeah.
I didn't get to talk with you because you were obviously very busy working. But I wonder if you could talk a little bit about shooting that scene. And I mean, we don't get to see drag kings, and certainly not Latinx drag kings. So.
No, there was that drag king character in the L Word, but
oh God, yes, oh yeah, I remember.
Which was pretty cool. What was that character's name? It's so good. But anyway,
Ivan,
yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, yeah.
I had to reach back for that.
That's good. I was actually originally supposed to be in that scene performing, and Tanya was like, we don't have the time, and she wanted to focus on these other characters. But it was so empowering. We often think of drag as just like, guys dressing up like girls or whatever, and just like the femme, like glittery, crazy feather, thing. But it was so. That day was so special for me because it was just like, it was like sexy in a way that I don't really, have any. I mean, I never see drag king shows, even as queer as I am, and as much time as I spend in queer spaces, it's just so rare to see drag kings, and especially brown drag kings. But yeah, I know Tanya had been looking forward to shooting that and to writing that for a long time, so I was really happy at that.
Well, and I have to say, I loved that every time you introduced them, you just riffed.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I haven't seen the third season yet. So I forget, because she, Tanya's very, I don't know if she's explained this to you, but she's very like, you need to learn your lines. It is not these, it is those, you have to, she's very specific about the language that she chooses. She thought about it, and she wants us to really think about it.
Yeah.
And there have been 2 times where she's let me improvise, and this was one of them. And so I don't remember what came out of my mouth, but that was a lot of fun. That day was a lot of fun because it was just like genuine,
Yeah, it was an honor to be on set. Like, the producers were all so nice. Michelle was sitting right next to me, so lovely. Melissa came in and was just talking, like, just what a great bunch of people.
Yeah, so you must have realized, like, it's all a big family. Everyone. I mean, we hang out with the producers, like socially. We love the producers. It's usually there's a certain amount of respect, and like, we're not supposed to talk about certain things with producers, and we, there's like a formality to the whole thing. But and be that with the production, everyone was so attached and bonded and free and loving, and it was really cool. And I'm glad you were there to see that, because
It was
it's
so beautiful. But also it's kind of, I know Tanya and I have talked about this, but it's also that kind of, queer people find their family. It's a lot about found family, and it seems like Vida was that for a lot of people.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I fully was not down with the vibe in Los Angeles for years. I mean, years and years. I've dated people who live in Los Angeles, and I've always been like, yeah, we're always going to be in a long distance relationship. I just was never.
You're a New Yorker.
Yeah, I'm a New Yorker, and I really just couldn't see myself, having any sort of root in LA. But then once I became, like day one, meeting everybody, I was intimidated, and it was just the sweetest group of people. Everybody was so welcoming and loving, and like we hang out every weekend, when we're in production, and even out of production, people are constantly hanging out. And this week is particularly, I've been fine, like mentally and emotionally, and this week has been hard because I know that we were supposed to be starting like heavy hitting press week, and it's really sad to not be with everyone to celebrate the show, but also to say goodbye. And everyone is so special, and the love that we have for each other is like so real, and it's a really special place.
Yeah, it shows, I think, in all of the work. I have to ask, because so many of your scenes are tied to Michelle's great work. And would you talk a little bit about working with her? She's so everyone's great, but she's really moving.
Yeah. So I knew Mish only through what I'd seen of season 1. Yeah. And, I know from being an actor and from being around so many actors and whatever, that people are generally not like their characters. But I was intimidated by her. And when I showed up to the chemistry read, the chemistry test that I had to do, she was fully in character, and I didn't know that she was in character. She just came in and she was really like, hey, how's it going? She was Emma, and I was expecting to meet Michelle Prada and she came in the room, and I was like, oh wow, okay, she's really like that. Okay. Oh, no. And she was like, she was courteous, and she was, civil and stuff, but I was just like, okay, man, like, she means business. That's cool. Like I can definitely fuck with that. Like I'm okay, But it was really interesting, and it really it was really cool to work with her that day, and to kind of feel the vibe, and to know this person was really serious about this job. It was really beautiful, and then of course, like, I met her the second time I met her, it was after I'd already gotten cast, and she was like, hi, how are you? Michelle's like the sweetest person alive. So it was, I was like, oh, okay. Like, am I getting gaslighted, or are you actually just, But no, she's, Michelle's we have the same birthday, and we are very different people as far as like our tendency to nurture and stuff. She's a really nurturing, really sweet, really kind-hearted, like over the top generous person, and it's been so, she's built in me like such a feeling of trust and care, and looking after, and it was always there when we were shooting. It was always, generally sex scenes are extremely awkward, even if you're friends with the person. They're like, can I do the, like, it's just a awkward, weird, surreal experience. But Mish just made it feel like fun and creative, and really not, she always made me feel really comfortable, and she's an extremely generous person, and an extremely generous actor as well.
Great, thank you for that. I don't have too much more. I just wanted to ask what you hope, as people are kind of coming to the end of Vida, those who have been following it since the beginning, or those who are perhaps just discovering it, because I guess now the first season's free on Stars right now. So I happen to know a lot of people who are coming to me and asking me if I've seen Vida, and I'm like, I've been telling you about this show for 3 years.
But that's actually, I'm glad you say that, because in the last week alone, like I'm talking like 5 days, in the last 5 days of my life, I mean, at least, I mean, minimum a dozen people have written me or, you know, called me and been like, dude, I just started watching Vida. Wow, it's so good, man. Like, I'm addicted to this show. I just ran through both seasons and now I'm like excited, but I just learned it's the last season. Like, what the fuck? And it's like, well, you didn't watch it. You know, like, where were you?
Yeah,
you were asleep.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Slept on it.
Yeah. And that's fine. Like, I you know, it's, the show, you know, is we I think that we did a really good job of telling the story that Tanya wanted to tell, even in an abbreviated version of only having these 3 seasons. But I think that we you know, she had a task at hand, and I think we took care of making sure we nailed it. And I'm really happy with what we made. I'm always going to be really proud of it. And if it's one of those things where it takes people 20 years to watch it and be like, wow, like now there's just such a prevalence of like shows about Latin American experience and all this stuff. Like, where did it all start? And if they can look back and pinpoint Vida and discover like what a gem it was, and, you know, then I will be happy, you know. But I do wish that more people were engaged now, of course, but
I know. Yeah.
But I think it's such a real show. It just depicts such a real experience, and it's brave and it's empathetic at the same time, which is a really rare combination. And it's I think that Tanya did a really good job of expressing like our identities, and, you know, our shared identity, and our, also like how, you know, how multifaceted the Latin American experience is, and how multifaceted even the American experience is. And I hope what people can get from the show ultimately is like, yes, these are brown people, these are queer people, these are Latin American people in Los Angeles, but it's also just American people. And we all know people like this. We all have like the archetypal Lynn and the Emmas and the Eddies and the Johnnies, you know. So
right.
I think that people will feel, I hope that Latin American people feel seen by the show, and justly represented, and I hope that other people feel a kinship with someone they didn't know they already knew.
Great. You know? Well, thank you. That was a beautiful final answer. So.
Oh, yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Roberta. I can't wait again to see what you do next. And
thank you so much. Thank you.
Stay safe.
Oh, you should know, actually, because you were with The Advocate. I'm doing A League of Their Own. Hopefully, I just finished the pilot for A League of Their Own, which is it's going to be a very queer show. But
yes,
hopefully we'll get picked up and we'll shoot a season soon enough.
You know what? I think I sort of knew that, and it kind of went out of my head, but I can't wait for that. I will be all over that.
Me too. It's going to be really good, really fun.
It's interesting. I did like a talk show thing with Rosie O'Donnell, and
I'm sorry, you cut out. You did what?
Sorry. So I did a Zoom with Rosie O'Donnell, and she
wow.
Yeah, it was wild. She talked about A League of Their Own and how she played her character as gay. There's this whole speech where she talks about how she's, you know, not like other girls or something. And she went into her Penny Marshall impression and said, and Penny was like, Rosie, it's not a gay thing. And Rosie's like, well, what is it if it's not a gay thing? So she says, my character was definitely gay in A League of Their Own. So just to have that confirmation, it was like.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, like, even, I think watching that as a kid, like, way before I was even like, I'm gay, or like even like thinking about gay as an identity, I was just like, that person's gay, and that's so cool.
Yeah.
You know, like, she's in love with all the way May, you know, that's so cool. They like love each other, you know. Exactly. I thought it was so I love Rosie. Oh, that's cool. You got to talk to her.
She was really open. It was great. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I will look forward to that, and maybe we'll talk when that comes out.
Great. Yeah.
For sure. All right. Take it easy, Roberta.
Okay, bye.
Bye.